Hi everyone, Mel from Wildly Curious here. A fire roll, or Rudiger roll, is arguably the easiest way to produce fire using friction. It's thought that it was invented by World War II prisoners of war, who used it to light their cigarettes. Here's what you'll need. Some cotton wool balls, some wood ash, maybe from a wood burner or an old bonfire or something like that. It needs to be very dry though. And then a couple of boards. You could actually use flat rocks or bricks, but I find boards are easiest. And these are 2 pieces of very dry pallet wood. You may also need something to stop your boards from slipping, a piece of cloth. I think I'll use a doormat. As with any friction fire lighting method, this is very susceptible to humidity. So make sure your boards are totally dry, and if you're trying this for the first time, wait for a sunny day. First, look at your cotton wool ball. It's actually a roll. Tease it out until you find the end, and then completely unroll it. This one's quite long. We probably don't need it that long, so I'm going to tear it in half, save the other bit for later, and then I'm going to very gently just tease it a little bit more to make it wider. That way it's a bit thinner too. Okay, when you've done that, lay it down on one of your boards and tip a little bit of dry wood ash over it. I'm just going to flick out the big bits here. We don't need too much, just enough to create some friction. Then we roll it up as tightly as we can. Like that. It's quite fat at the moment, so what we need to do now is to compact it ready for making fire. I've placed my roll at the end of the board closest to me, and then I'm going to pick up my other board and I'm going to push it down on top and I'm going to roll it. Once, twice, 6 or 7 times should do it. There we go. Now that's gone from being quite soft to being really quite tight, and it's quite firm as well. So that's now ready for creating our friction fire with. So I'm going to put it there at the start, and I'm going to roll starting with this end of the board like that, so I get as much roll as possible out of each stroke. If I were to put it there and put the middle of it on, I'd only be doing tiny strokes, so you want to get as much as possible going. So always start with your roll somewhere near the beginning of the board. Now our fire roll is ready. This time I'm going to roll it backwards as well as forwards, keeping firm downward pressure on the roll. If I press it too hard, I'll just flatten it. After a while you get to know how much pressure to apply. Just keep going. After a few strokes you may notice that you begin to smell the fire roll as it starts to combust. Okay, it's definitely hot enough, I can smell it. We've got a little bit of smoke there, there we go. So that could go in our, in our tinder bundle. You could start a fire with that. While you're using the boards, resist the temptation to lift it up and have a look at your roll too often, because every time you lift the board up, the roll will cool down. So wait for the telltale smell to change, and then you'll know that you've got combustion. Just loosen it up a little bit, get some oxygen in there. Wouldn't recommend doing this without tying your hair back. So there we go. Troubleshooting. If your roll disintegrates and gets really thin, you're probably pressing too hard, so reduce the amount of pressure that you're putting on your board. If your roll doesn't smoulder, just keep going or go a bit faster. Good luck.